For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' mind and not their book. Meanwhile, I truly believe and pray that you and your families are completely safe and healthy as well. Guys, today we have Dr. Deepak Rosha sir with us, and he is the author of So Much to Say, Raja of Nowhere, The College Convention, The Saga of Spy X13, and The Droplet and the Pearl. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on our show. We are highly grateful कि आप हमारे show पर आए.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I am also very grateful to you.
Pleasure, sir. So, sir, before we get into the podcast and know much more about your books, about your vision and everything, I would request you to please introduce yourself so that our listeners can know much more about you, and do share how you started this writing journey.
Right. So I am a senior consultant pulmonologist, that's a doctor, working in Indraprasth Apollo Hospital, Delhi. And most of the time I've been writing scientific papers and doing research work. When I was in school, I had some experience in writing because I did scripted some plays, and I used to write regularly, and my teachers always said I had a good imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But during the course of time, after becoming a doctor, it became very difficult for me to get the time to write a book. I used to write poetry because you can write it fast and it just come to my mind. I used to write it. Then people told me, it's nice poetry, why don't you publish it? So I published a book of poetry, So Much to Say. But that was in, I think, around 2015. But again, there was not much time, though I had some ideas in my mind on the books. And I wanted to write different type of books.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not getting that, time. Then when COVID came along, then suddenly I had to perforce stay at home. So I could, spend 3-4 hours every day writing. And that's how I was able to write all these books.
Okay. So as we know, sir, that the books are released and they're performing really well on Amazon. So, asking from the point of view of a new reader who would be able or keen to read those books after listening to this podcast. So, what a new reader can expect from a books? Can you share some insights?
Sure. What I've tried in each book is a different type of story. Each book has a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Though some of the protagonists are the same in 2 or 3 of the books, but they don't play that major a role. In each book, there's a person who's playing a major role, and there's a person who's playing a secondary role, and that person playing a secondary role is there in other books also. So now I don't write usual love stories and something like that.
Yeah.
I write stories where different things happen to people and how they respond to them and how they react to them, and sometimes they have an agenda where they're working on something. So it's not just a boy meet girl, break up, meet again, and or maybe a spy working. One of my books is about a spy, but it's a different type of spy book. It's not the usual like a James Bond spy. So my aim has always been to write different stories, and I think I have managed in the 4 books that I have written so far, a different story in each book.
Okay. So definitely we can say that readers will get a versatility in all your books. They are not something you are bounded to such a particular image only, right?
Yeah, such a genre or something. For instance, my first book, Raja of Nowhere, is about a little baby who gets kidnapped in Lahore when India was not divided. And then many years later, his family finds that he is now a very famous politician. And though, partition took place and this, that, the other, and so they didn't know what happened to this child. And then later they get, there was some proof that is this person who is actually now, he is a Raja of a state. And of course, in India, democratic India, there's no real Rajas. But because people still look at people who were kings in the earlier days as Rajas. So he continues to be called a Raja, though he's more a politician. And then one day when he finds that he's not really the Raja, so it's like Raja of Nowhere. So, and he always has been saying that, I'm Raja of Nowhere. And that's how he got that name. And then one day he finds that it's actually true, he's Raja of Nowhere. And then the story develops like that.
Okay.
So, each story is kind of different. And it's not total, sometimes there's revenge and sometimes there is murder and, mystery. And so I've tried to, write different genres, but I've tried to write in a, simple and humorous style.
Okay.
That's always been my attempt, rather than make something very difficult to understand.
Yeah.
To write simply and try to convey a meaning to the. And also, since not many people read my poems, my first book, So Much to Say, in many of my books, I've added some poetry of mine, and which has a meaning for the book also. So that way, I've tried to promote my poetry also.
Okay. So, sir, out of curiosity, I wanted to ask about this particular book, the Saga of Spy X13. So, can you share a bit about what exactly it is? Because it seems to be really, fascinating. Everyone wants to read. Something is there. I mean, the cover is so catchy.
Well, in this, there is, the setting is in 1965 during the Indo-Pak War. Okay. And there is a school, imaginary school, which I have set, which is near Kapurthala, near the Indo-Pak border. And there are two boys who are kind of challenged boys, because they're away from home and they've had some trauma and they're so they're just kind of left alone and everybody ignores them. And then they're contacted by a mysterious spy and who asks them to do certain acts which are like pranks only. And then he makes them do more and more complex acts, and in the end it leads to a disaster, and which I of course won't reveal. And then these boys, they grow up and they become eminent doctors, and then they meet again somewhere far away, and because they're also not sure of what really happened, and then they start discussing, and then gradually the whole truth comes out, what was actually happening in that time. So they go back in time and discuss, and so that's how it happens. And the main protagonist here is somebody I haven't given anybody any names, their actual names. Like one of the protagonists is called Pokey. So he's just called Pokey because everybody used to call him Pokey because he had very angular, and that name Pokey kind of stuck to him even when he became an eminent doctor and all that. And the other one is called Burp. Because his actual name is Bal Ravindra Pal. People call him Burp. So Pokey and Burp are the two guys who are actually creating a havoc in the school, and nobody suspects them because they're like two really people in the background. Nobody thinks they are capable of doing anything. They're just very quiet. So it's that kind of thing.
Okay. That seems to be really interesting, sir. So my next question to this podcast is so what we can expect from you as of now? Are you writing something as of now? Do you want to experiment a bit on some other genres as well? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah. I had written a book, The College Conventions, which was, and then after that I wrote another book, The Droplet and the Pearl, which has just been published. So the protagonist of the College Conventions is a boy called Rohan, and he later grows up, and he during the college he's in a medical college, and he has all these experiences, and he's actually there with an agenda to solve a mystery. Now the next part of my latest book after The Droplet and the Pearl is going to be a book called The Club of Tea Drinkers, right? Okay. So in this, now Rohan has grown up, become a doctor, retired, and now he's living in a, colony. And there he comes across a place which is called the Club of Tea Drinkers, a very exclusive kind of club. And because he's a surgeon and with a big ego now, and he wants to be a part of the member, he fights and he becomes a member of that club. And then he starts meeting people there from his past life. Past life means from his where he was working in the past, 30 years, 40 years ago, he was working in some hospitals. He starts meeting those people and he starts wondering how am I meeting all these people? And then he finds that now he's in a trap, and this trap has been carefully, spread around him over a long period of time. And then the story is, can he get out of this trap or not?
Okay. So this is your current book, like, which is about to get published, right?
Yeah, this is the next book which will come out.
Oh, okay, sir. So, sir, like, when it comes to this particular industry of writing, what I personally feel that, after the first lockdown was over, the numbers of author get increased very rapidly. And in fact, the publishing has become so much easier as it was used to be. Like, we have Kindle publishing, lots of literary agents are there, lots of publication house are opening every day. Every months, we can say, sorry. So what is my point of view that, as a writer, what you feel that, making your book stand out in the market is like quite tough nowadays? Or you are someone who feels that, as a creative, it is something creativity, and as a creator, you don't just fall for numbers, or, because you want some targeted audience, and every book will find its right audience. What's your take on this?
No, I fully agree that when you're writing, you would like more and more people to read your book. Otherwise, what's the point of writing? If you're just going to do it for your own satisfaction, then you might as not even publish it. If you're publishing it, you want it to reach a large audience. And the problem has been that during this particular phase, one has not been able to promote the book in person, because earlier, what authors used to do is they would go from various metro cities, and there are book clubs. They would meet people there, they would discuss their book, and people, they would sign books and give it to them, and that way they would get to be known. That's what I mean. And whereas right now we have to, because of COVID times and because of all these other restrictions which had come in the middle, which are now slowly going away, if you're not a known author, you have to go through the Instagram and Goodreads, and you have to go through Amazon and Flipkart, and then you have to tell all your friends, and you have to try and expand your the horizon of your book by meeting more, by trying to communicate with more and more people about it. True. So this has always been an issue during these times, especially since I became an author. So, because if you're a known name, then it's so much easier. You just write a book and 10,000 people will read it. Whereas here, another problem I find is that less and less people are reading books. People are so much now into over the top television, and they're always into their phones. So people and book lovers, there used to be so many more earlier. I think there are less now. I think so.
True, definitely. And even I feel that, sir. In fact, the time retention or the devotion which a book wants from a reader is very less these days, because we have Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, everything is there, and people are just have a time span of 15 seconds to just go and on and on. So the dedication which one wants for a book to complete, a whole book to complete, is definitely getting very low in today's world, what I feel.
You are very right, and that's the reason why I do not write very long books. The maximum is my latest book, the Droplet, is 210 pages. But even here, I've tried to keep it as short as possible, and I like to have sudden endings. While you're reading, suddenly the story is over, and the person who's reading it, if he's enjoying the story, says, "What? It's finished?" And he would like to think more about it. So I like to just surprise. Not only during the story, but during the end also, just the end. Suddenly the end will come and the person will say, "What? No more pages to turn?" Something like that.
So, sir, what's your current writing schedule, or do you have any writing schedule, or you are someone who sometimes gets the idea, then jot it down on phone or diary, and after some time just go on and write upon those topics? How does it go with you?
Yeah, for me, what has happened is I do have an idea what I'm going to write, but once I start writing, I don't have a schedule.
Hmm.
But the as I write one chapter, the next chapter comes into my mind, and then the next. Because many people they make a complete outline before they actually write
Hmm.
the book,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I don't make an outline. I just start writing, and then I find that the book writes itself. And many times the book goes to places where I never thought it would go, or things
Yeah.
begin to happen in the book which I had not planned. Sometimes, so like uh, it surprises me also, like this is how the book is going,
Hmm.
but I just let it go the way it's going, so
Hmm.
that it somehow makes it more interesting.
Definitely. You are someone who go with the flow of the writing. Like, you want the
Yeah,
story to
and
take you away.
yeah, the story, and then the story begins to write itself. The
Hmm.
au- the protagonists of the story, they take on their own life, and then they
Ah,
begin to do things which you were not you didn't think they would do, but they're doing them, and so
definitely,
they're part of
definitely.
the story, and okay,
Hmm.
fine.
They create their own world, and they start reacting in that way only.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, so sir, till now we have talked about your book, about your journey, about your vision, and everything. Now, coming to your personal life, I know there must be a lot of moments which you tag as the happiest moment of your life, but if you could share any one of them with us, then that would be really great.
Mm. Well, I'm generally a very happy person with
Mm-hmm.
the grace of God.
That's true.
And so I've had many happy moments in my life. But of course, the happiest moments in my life have been when my two children were born, my daughter,
Hmm.
which was now she's almost 40 years old, and my son, who is about 37, 38 years old.
Wow.
So when they were born, and the happiest moments have been spent with when they were little, and we used to play together. Of course, now they're grown up doing their own thing,
Hmm.
but those were the happiest moments of my life.
Definitely. So, in fact, I have recorded almost, you can see that around 140 plus episodes of this podcast. And whoever
Hmm.
I have been through in this podcast, and they are parents, they have mentioned
Hmm.
that, the happiest moment were the time when they were with their kids or when their kids were born. And that's what I
Yeah.
feel, the true essence of our India.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so sir, now let's go back to the time like when you heard that okay, tomorrow your book will be released. So on that eve, what was going in your mind? Like, were you feeling stressed, relaxed, or you have just marked up some milestones for your books? Okay, these many people know me as a doctor, as a person, so the book has to be sold out this many copies. Or even in your in your latest book, I can say that the Droplet and the Pearl. What was going on your mind
Mhm.
at that time?
Like I said, I would like the book to reach as many people as possible. So I don't get stressed about it because it's not my, I'm not earning my major income from it or
Hmm.
anything like that. But I would like people to read it and enjoy it. And uh, when the book comes out, my main aim is to tell as many people whom I know that this book has come out, and please read it and give me your feedback. And of course, not many say, I would say out of every 100 people I tell, maybe about 15, 20 may read it. But
Hmm.
still, I mean, it's an attempt to get a widespread sort of coverage for the book.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the way so it doesn't really stress me out. I feel happy, okay, now I've written this book. And in fact, I'm more stressed when I'm writing the book, because sometimes some thoughts about the book are there in your mind,
Hmm.
and you don't not getting the time to write it. So then that's the time when you feel that the story is there, but I can't write it. So that's the
Hmm.
time I
Hmm.
actually feel stressed. But if I've written it, then the stress is gone. Then I feel happy that I've been able to communicate what I wanted to.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, okay. So as of now, sir, what's your current mental state as a person, as an author? What are the things which you are focusing upon in life?
Now my main aim is to I worked for since 1977 as a doctor, and
Uh,
now I am gradually reducing my time at working as a doctor, and
hmm.
actually working on getting some more regular time to write. So
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
is my next step. I haven't actually managed to do it yet, but that's my plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so my last question to you of this podcast would be like, after listening to this podcast, many people will start writing, or, they must be holding their first draft in their laptop, in their diary, in their notebooks. So what would be your advice for the upcoming authors?
My advice is the book should not look contrived, like, it should not be that you're trying to force it to go in a particular way. It should be written sincerely and honestly. Then people really enjoy it also, I feel, because that thing comes through. But if you try to, make it into something which it's not, then obviously people will not like it or will not enjoy it to that extent. So my advice to them, authors, is just write, enjoy the writing, because if you're enjoying the writing, then even the person who's reading it will realize that you are having a good time writing it and will also enjoy reading it.
Okay, so that's all for today, guys. I hope you must have enjoyed this lovely conversation with Deepak sir. And if you do, then do follow our podcast, Reading the Author, available on all the leading podcast platforms. And don't forget to buy and read the book. आप जस्ट Amazon पे जाएं, वहाँ पे सर्च करें दीपक रोशा सर की 5 बुक आ जाएंगी. ज़रूर खरीदें, पढ़ें और अपने जानने वालों के साथ, चाहने वालों से ज़रूर शेयर करें. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts. It was my honor to be able to host you today.
It was my pleasure to talk to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Goodbye and all the best.
Thank you, sir.